Have you ever noticed how certain events keep repeating in your life, almost like reality is echoing something back to you? It can feel uncanny, as if your inner world is quietly shaping what shows up on the outside. There's a reason this happens, and it's not luck, coincidence, or fate. You're not just reacting to life, you're broadcasting signals all the time, signals that influence opportunities, relationships, timing, even money. As Brian Tracy once explained, you function like a magnet. What enters your life tends to match the thoughts and emotional patterns you hold most consistently. This means the universe isn't passive, it responds. But here's the twist most people miss. Much of this communication happens unconsciously. You're sending messages without realizing what frequency you're tuned to, and the results show up later as outcomes, expenses, breakthroughs, or setbacks. The good news? You can change the signal. By the end of this video, you'll understand how intentional awareness, the same skill used in peak performance, financial discipline, and long-term success, allows you to communicate differently with reality itself. And when the signal changes, so does the return. Most people assume the universe responds randomly. In truth, it responds precisely, just not always consciously. Every thought, emotional reaction, and repeated belief carries energy. That energy behaves like a frequency. You can think of it the same way you'd think about money habits or investment patterns. Small, repeated actions compound over time. The issue isn't that people are asking for the wrong things. It's that they're broadcasting without awareness. Imagine transmitting on a radio station you didn't choose, then wondering why the music feels off. That's how most people live. They focus on goals, but ignore the emotional tone behind those goals. They want growth, but operate from stress. They want abundance, but think in terms of survival. The universe, much like any neutral system, including financial markets, doesn't judge intention. It responds to consistency. This is why learning to consciously tune your internal state is not spiritual fantasy. It's strategic alignment. When awareness replaces autopilot, communication shifts from accidental to deliberate. And that's where real leverage begins. This is where the concept becomes practical. Everything you experience operates within systems: biological, psychological, economic. And at the core of every system, there's regulation. Your thoughts and emotions are no different. They exist in a constant state of movement, what physics describes as vibration. Think of it this way. Every emotion carries a measurable energetic state, just like assets carry volatility or stability. When your internal state shifts, the signal shifts. The law of vibration explains that nothing is static. Your mindset, emotional patterns, and expectations are always oscillating, influencing what aligns with you. Now enter the law of attraction, not as a mystical promise, but as a neutral matching mechanism. Like attracts like. High-frequency states such as clarity, gratitude, focus, and emotional regulation tend to align with opportunity, cooperation, and forward momentum. Lower-frequency states, chronic worry, fear, resentment, often align with friction, delays, and repeated financial or relational stress. This isn't punishment or reward, it's response. Much like credit systems or risk models, the universe mirrors consistency, not desire. When you operate from emotional stability and intentional focus, you emit a signal that attracts environments capable of sustaining growth, including financial growth. But when stress becomes the baseline, the system responds accordingly. The shift begins when you stop reacting and start observing your internal frequency the same way you'd monitor expenses, habits, or long-term investments. Awareness changes the output, and once you understand the mechanics, you stop fighting outcomes. You start adjusting the signal. Here's where most people misunderstand the process. Raising your frequency doesn't mean forcing positivity or ignoring reality. It means learning emotional regulation, a skill shared by high performers, long-term investors, and resilient leaders. Your emotional state is not decoration, it's data. When you spend most of your time in gratitude, calm focus, or grounded optimism, your nervous system stabilizes. And a regulated system makes better decisions, financially, relationally, strategically. This is why people who manage emotions well tend to experience fewer random setbacks. They're not avoiding problems, they're responding from clarity instead of reactivity. Consider a simple example. You wake up already stressed, your attention narrows, you rush, you miss details, small errors compound, missed messages, impulsive spending, poor timing. Now contrast that with a regulated state. You pause, you notice what's working, you choose responses instead of reacting. This shift alone changes outcomes, not because the universe rewards you, but because your signal is cleaner. Gratitude is powerful here because it instantly elevates your baseline frequency. It moves your mind from scarcity to sufficiency. And sufficiency is where growth becomes sustainable. When challenges arise, traffic delays, unexpected expenses, the question isn't how to eliminate them. It's how to meet them without lowering your signal. Each small adjustment compounds, much like interest. Over time, the universe responds not to isolated emotions, but to your dominant state. That's the signal it mirrors back. Visualization isn't imagination for comfort. It's mental rehearsal, a technique used in neuroscience, elite sports, and long-term planning. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. That's why repeated mental rehearsal alters behavior, confidence, and decision-making. When you visualize an outcome as already unfolding, you're conditioning your nervous system to expect it. Expectation shapes behavior, and behavior shapes results. This is where many people go wrong. They picture outcomes vaguely, without emotion or detail. That produces no signal. Effective visualization is specific. You don't just imagine success, you imagine stability after success. You feel calm in it, you feel organized, you feel capable of sustaining it. This matters financially. Many people can reach a new income level, fewer can hold it. Visualization helps bridge that gap by teaching the mind what normal feels like at a higher level of responsibility and abundance. When you imagine walking through your future environment, your workspace, your home, your daily routine, you're training your subconscious to operate there. The training quietly influences decisions, how you manage money, how you negotiate, how you respond to opportunity. Over time, the signal becomes consistent, and consistency is what the universe and reality responds to. Visualization is not asking, it's preparing. Affirmations aren't motivational slogans, they're tools for cognitive rewiring. Your subconscious runs most of your decisions, especially under pressure. Money choices, risk tolerance, confidence and consistency all pass through it first. When repeated thoughts dominate your inner dialogue, they become default instructions. Affirmations work by interrupting old patterns and installing new reference points. Not overnight. Through repetition. When you affirm capability, stability and growth, you're not trying to convince reality. You're retraining your internal operating system. This matters because belief quietly shapes behavior. A person who believes they can handle responsibility spends differently, plans differently, responds differently to opportunity. As those behaviors shift, outcomes follow. The universe mirrors that shift, not emotionally but mechanically. When affirmations align with intention and action, they send a consistent signal, readiness. And readiness attracts alignment. Think of affirmations as internal compliance checks. They keep your mindset aligned with the version of life you're preparing to sustain. The key is consistency, not intensity. Short, grounded affirmations repeated daily outperform emotional declarations made once. When thought, emotion, and action move in the same direction, resistance fades. That's when momentum becomes natural. Writing changes the relationship between thought and reality. When an idea stays in your head, it's flexible, vague, and easy to abandon. When you write it down, it becomes structured. This is why writing has always been used in planning, law, finance, and personal transformation. It forces clarity. A written intention carries more weight because it engages multiple systems at once: thought, emotion, and action. Writing a letter to the universe isn't symbolic fluff. It's intentional articulation. You describe what you're building as if it's already in motion. You acknowledge progress. You express gratitude not only for what you have, but for what you're preparing to sustain. This matters because clarity reduces internal conflict. Many people sabotage momentum, not because they lack desire, but because their intentions are scattered. Writing consolidates focus. It's similar to drafting a financial plan. Once it's on paper, decisions become easier to evaluate. While writing, intuition often surfaces, not mystically but cognitively. Your deeper priorities reveal themselves. After the letter is written, reflection is essential. Sit with it. Read it slowly. This moment aligns your internal signal with a clear direction. Some people keep the letter, others symbolically release it. The method matters less than the intention behind it. What matters is this: you've shifted from vague wishing to deliberate commitment. And commitment changes outcomes. This process isn't about hoping. It's about alignment. When thought, emotion, and behavior move together, reality responds with precision. You are not separate from the systems around you. You are participating in them. Every intention you hold, every emotional pattern you repeat, every decision you reinforce sends a signal. And over time, that signal shapes your environment, including opportunities, relationships, and financial outcomes. The universe doesn't respond to intensity. It responds to consistency. When you practice awareness, emotional regulation, visualization, affirmations, and intentional writing, you're not asking for change. You're becoming compatible with it. This compatibility is what sustains growth. Many people experience breakthroughs. Fewer experience stability after the breakthrough. That stability is built through internal alignment. As you apply these practices, notice what shifts, not just externally but internally. Your reactions, your patience, your confidence in handling responsibility. These are signals of expansion. If this video sparked recognition or reflection, share your experience in the comments. Articulating insight reinforces learning and helps others see patterns they may not yet recognize. And if you want to continue exploring how awareness, mindset, and disciplined thinking shape long-term success, make sure you're subscribed. Each video builds on the last, designed to help you move forward with clarity, not pressure. Thank you for being here. Stay intentional and keep refining the signal.